At 4:30 on the 13th day of April. Well, I'll be 70 in 3 days. 1950s model. And I thought I'd seen everything until the last 2 months. And I want you people out there to watch this channel to stay safe. I'm down at the cabin. Don't be intimidated by wearing a mask. My wife made this fine mask, non-typical, because it's time to care for one another. If you don't want to wear one into a facility that's still open, wear it for your loved ones. If you want to die, that's your problem. But don't go and contract something and bring it home. This man's asking you to wear a mask out there. He's doing all he can do. So be as careful as you can when you're moving around nowadays, because you don't want to be a contributor and give that disease to somebody unknowingly. So wear a mask. We're going to go out and check some trail cameras and some food plots today. It's 4:30. It was 25 degrees this morning. Snowed yesterday, rained all day. So we're going to go check out the food plots. Well, there's my pond. It's crystal clear. Brought to you by Blue Pond. The treatment keeps that algae from growing and keeps the water clarity better. You notice everything's greening up. I was down there along the pond where last video we were cranking clover on, and I doubt if it germinated because the ground temperature is way too cold. And that's what I've warned you about. If you plant soft seed and you get a cold spring like this, it'll just rot on you. That's why, you know, you want to go with a hard seed. And even when you plant corn at this time, if you have a wet cold spring like this and you put the corn down 2.5 to 3 inches in the ground, that soil temperature, it's not warmed up at all. So planting's delayed. Let's go check trail cameras in the clover field. Oh, by the way, today was opening morning of turkey season. I didn't go. It was just the wind is blowing, cold. And if you've watched my videos, you know I'm not shy of that, but it just didn't seem like turkey season to me. So we got plenty of time, even though the day was the opening day. If you can go back to my old videos and see what I started out with, the cattail swamp, and what I ended up with, I think you'd appreciate the hard work and labor that went into that. It's starting to green up here in southern Iowa. But even though, like I say, it's still relatively cold. You have to wear, I got car hose on today. And we're almost halfway through April. So, just wander down through here, taking you along. The trail's really greened up. That's another thing for you guys to remember. In the spring, or any thunderstorm, that's a great source of free nitrogen. Nitrogen either goes into the forage that you're growing, or goes past down in the water table, and that's a bad deal. Or it goes up in the atmosphere. And when you get that lightning and thunder in a thunderstorm, especially in the spring, or as far as that goes in the fall, that lightning makes those molecules nitrogen cling to the raindrops and brings it right back down. It's free nitrogen. And that's one of the main ways of why the green up happens so fast, especially in the fall, because this lack of nitrogen, it's been dry, and next thing you know, your neighborhood turns bright green overnight. And tap water, people out irrigating their yards are just wasting water, because that's the chlorine water. All the nitrates, as they bitch about, has been eradicated out of the drinking water, but yet they continue to pump thousands of gallons treated drinking water onto their yard, which lacks all the stuff. So what they do is they run out and have some lawn service clown dump nitrogen on it, or they go and do it themselves, put it all over the sidewalk, all over their driveways, and then it washes right down into the storm sewers. Then they blame the farmer. Yep, that's what we live in today. Oh, some stuff starting to bloom. Creek's got some water in it. Quite a bit, really. Of course, it rained probably an inch or so. It rained all day yesterday. So we venture up here to that clover plot that we were on just, well, it's probably about a month ago. And we overseeded it some, chopped out some of the grass, and it's coming on. It's, you know, pretty green. This clover field just goes to show you the integrity of Whitetail Institute product. That people talk about lazy man and poor man and all that garbage. They're just cheap. They want to go out and do as little as they can, expect to get the most out of it. They go through life that way too. Pay a little more up front with a product that was exclusively made for the digestive tract of the white-tailed deer. And this is the results that you'll have. And it's probably being grazed on quite heavily. It needs to get a little warmer also. But it definitely's got a real good stand. And like I say, it grew in real thick. We'll see show you the videos when we pull the trail cam. Maybe we can see what's been browsing on this. It's also really nice when the soil's this moist, because any of these broadleaf weeds that are growing in, they come out. The root and everything comes out. It's very, very easy to do. I mean, all you have to do is bend over and pull the weed just out. And like I said, you can see that's pretty weed free. But Whitetail Institute clover, Southern Iowa, April 13th, day after Easter. Hunters from above. I want to show you something that's really interesting. 2018, I believe it was on October 13th, I was in that blind. That's the one I put blind up with the Christmas trees. Well, that big tree right there, it was alive at that time. So it's died since 2018 to 2020. And this limb, pretty good sized limb, you want to watch where you put your blinds up, because I'd have been out here and set that blind up there, which I was planning on doing. You may have had a rude awakening, that big limb falling down on your head. It's just something to think about. That tree over, the big tree, that limb's come off right up there. It fell right down here where the blind's at. That 8-pointer was right out there in front of me on the 13th of October. And like I say, that tree was alive at that time, but it's pretty dead now. Oh, springtime. Nothing like the green up. See what's been browsing on this clover, because it's still being consumed, I can tell, quite heavily. But it's sure come back green. Really wet back here. This clover plot's been there for 10 years. We overseeded it, frost seeded it with some clover. The gentleman asked me why, if I was going to tear it out, why I didn't put annual clover in there. And to be honest with you, I didn't think about it. I probably would have, because it would have been cheaper if you wanted to go that way, because I plan on tearing this out. And I was going to make it bigger, but even with my new track skid steer, it would be awful wet to be down in here. And the last thing you want to do is get a machine stuck. It's really wet. Really, really wet. You can see that right there. But that's where you want to plant your clovers at, is in the low ground that holds moisture. Yeah, I plan on taking all this area out because the trees are non-valuable trees per se, and I can enlarge this field quite a bit by taking that out. And with the attractability that I've been fortunate to have, I need more food plot space. So, you just inch your way along, and as things get bigger, you know what works and what doesn't. Can't do it all in 1 year. It's an ongoing process of land management. And like I say, all this I'm going to take out. And well, it's just a little drier. I could get, but like I say, I don't want to get back and get going and worry about getting stuck all the time. Now here's the situation. I believe I planted this, it's either 2013 or 2015, and you can see the big clumps of grass. So they're growing right now, and I'm going to get a rest mixed up and get them killed off ASAP, because they don't need to grow any taller, and I can just spot them where they're at with a backpack sprayer. Yeah, it's another big tree up there fell down on this field. I have to get down and see if we can get him chopped out of there. These fields drew a lot of wildlife. I mean, but they're like anything. If you're living, let's face it, you're dying at the same time. And you take care of yourself. Same with your food plots, you can get longevity out of them. But sooner or later, time will take its toll on everything. That's why you have to keep turning the new leaf over. So we'll walk on up here and wander up and see if we can get up to the top field, see how they came out. April 13th. Why am I on this pandemic that we're going through? Just crossed my mind. When you have social distancing, that's what food plots like that do. They keep their deer herd, turkeys and stuff spread out. But when you think you're going to grow the big ones with all the dope-a-deer tricks out there that are on the market today, you dump that dope in the ground and every deer in your neighborhood will come and stick its nose in it over and over and over again. And it sort of deletes the social distancing. And we can get away with it, like I said on the onset, because we can wear a mask, hopefully. But the deer don't do that. That's why, in my opinion, I don't care about who's pushing the mineral one way or the other. As the DNR stated, that's a bad thing, because the deer keep coming to the same contaminated site over and over and over again. Whereas a food plot, once it's cropped off, they move on. And they're not got their face stuck in that same hole that they dug over and over and over again. Something to think about. My old trail's been hammered. It's amazing. And that spring green up, whether it's man-made forage or just nature's green, it sure enhances the lactation for the does, because they're coming in birthing, and everything benefits from this green up. And it's just quite a phenomenon how it can go from brown to shamrock green. Yeah, if you can find it within yourself to get away from the world's troubles and calm down and just watch spring evolve, we'll all be a lot better off. Just getting out here, Mother Nature, and being a little kid again. And people lose sight of that. How they don't even know you can. I can't believe people can't. They can't figure out what they do without toilet paper. Man, oh man. I grew up in a society that was so much tougher mentally and physically that it's pathetic. If you didn't have toilet paper, you used corn husk. If you didn't have corn husk, you used the newspaper. And it got right down to it, you just used an old rag. You wash the rag out, wipe your ass again tomorrow on it. It's amazing how we've been so softened up as a country that they make a run on toilet paper. How stupid is that? We'll wander up here to the top to the Alpha Rack Plus field, and see, as we go up the hill, that's where you want to plant your alfalfa at. It gets more sunlight and it doesn't need it near as much moisture. It's a deep-rooted perennial, and it can tolerate a lot drier soils. That old white tree limb caught my attention. I thought it might have been an antler or something, but it was just a white, faded out white piece of tree limb. Here we are up on the Alpha Rack Plus, and this is about 3 years old, and it needs some warm temperatures to get it growing. But again, I want to emphasize, 6 foot away, face mask, social distancing. Keep that same thought when you're managing your land. And I don't care who this offends or who pisses off, it doesn't matter to me. Like I said, I'm going to be 70 years old in 3 days. So I've made all the friends in life that I'm going to make. But when you dump those minerals in a pile, you delete this right here. You see all that vast area the deer can browse? And they never come to the same spot. Now they eat it down and they move on. And in this pandemic, we could learn something from that to help fight chronic wasting disease. That's why the president is asking people to keep the 6 foot distance, social distancing, keep the crowds down small, and wear a face mask when you're out in public. Deer can't do that. And I had a comment a while back, what did I have against minerals? Because this gentleman knew that there was a certain mineral, I'm not even going to waste time mentioning its name, but it was made in Utah, and it come from the soil naturally. Yeah, it came from Utah. What part of that don't you get? This is Iowa. That's why the scoring system, like in Pope and Young, starts at 125. Because there's certain areas in this North American continent that 125-inch deer, the genetics and the food value of it, and the intake, 125 is a heck of a nice deer. That's why that score is that low. So if you live in a state that has poor soil quality and you shoot a 125-inch whitetail buck, that's a good buck for your area. But if you're dumping something on the ground from Utah or some other place away from what's in the ground that you walk up on, you're skewing the whole scoring system of the Boone and Crockett and Pope and Young record books. And you're supposed to hunt what your ground grows. Now, you're going to argue, well, you plant food plots. Yep, I do. Because it's growing from the ground. Whatever this ground has in it to offer the wildlife, they're going to consume it naturally and move on. But I'm not going to go out of state and bring some trickery in and dump it on my farms. Period. Yeah. There's over 10 acres of food plots that we're walking around in. And that keeps your wildlife dispersed out. And I might sound a little rough around the edges, but that's how it's supposed to be. You sure don't want to ruin the whole deer herd just so you can have 15 seconds of fame on a selfie. The deer that come in here and the turkey, they browse about and move on. But when you got a hole dug in the ground that they continually come, and because the deer are not inoculated like cattle. Now if you put the mineral out for the cattle, then you're trying to enhance the weight gain and the whole different scenario. But here, the forage, bringing up the nutrients from the soil that you live on and where the deer live, not coming from out of state. Well, these areas are really, really greened up. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Just and all natural, per se. Put seed to the ground, and you accept the results. There goes some turkeys. Yeah. I don't know if you can see them there. Oh, yeah. He's going back. Well, that's good to see. Here's the wind up here. We just got out of the timber, and those turkeys were on the skyline there. And you can see how these food plots were totally consumed over the winter. It's too windy to film. Here's what I want to draw your attention to. All the stubble was beans left on. Every pod, every bean has been consumed. Not a deer track in here. 13th day of April. And that's what you want. The deer were here when they needed extra nutrition to get through the winter. And you can't cut a new track in this mud whatsoever. That way they moved on and they practiced, well, it's time to pack up and move on. And went to the spring range now. And this served its purpose. I mean, you couldn't mow this off this much, but one only knows how much wildlife benefited, especially, you know, in what was sort of a mild winter, but they still benefited from it. You can see the contrast to the timber line. Everything is warmer in there, and it's really greening up fast coming off the barren field. Oh boy, that wind really was coming through there. I'll be damned. I've walked through here several times, shed antler hunting, We've been out here for a little over an hour on the 13th looking at the food plots, and I know I've traversed up through here and I've seen white sticking up out. We got a small antler laying here. 13th day of April 2020. Well, ain't that something? It's been chewed on. Oh, not much. First human hand. Oh boy. Oh. Nice little 8-pointer. Yeah, something gnawed a little bit, no length off of it. Just cutting through here to go back to the cabin. That really showed up. That sun was on that white, just made it reflect like a mirror. I don't know. I think I only found about 4 or 5 of these this year. It was a bad year for sheds, that's for sure. But that's pretty neat. All right. That sun was really making everything that's white really glow. I didn't think this was an antler at first, but it was so, you can see how white that looks. I mean, just really super bright. Maybe I'll walk down through here. It's pretty unlikely that you're going to find the other side. When you find small ones like that, they can cover a lot of distance before they drop the other side. But we got to go this way anyway, so we were up here checking on equipment, food plots. Got to get the planter ready, and we've got to do some drying out. Let's just see if we find a be really a tremendous moment if I found a matching set. I think I've only found about 4 or 5 total this year. You can see how white that weed is right there. That's how white this drop shed looks. Too late in the day to get serious about this. But I ain't got far to go. Those turkeys came into this woods, but they probably kept right on going too. Well, a pretty good deer trail. That was amazing that I found that guy. Not even looking for him. I say if that sun hadn't been that bright, I probably wouldn't even seen it. Oh boy. Uphill and downhill. And there's another clover plot, back side of the dam. You can't have them too big and you can't have them too small. Well, we're back up here at the cabin. And it probably made some of you mad when I talk about mineral sites and social distancing. And that's fine, because this is America. So you can social distance yourself from my channel at any time you want, because that's how it is. But by all means, if you go out in public, try to keep your distance from one another, and don't find wearing one of these offensive, because the life you may save, you have no idea who it could be. Because as it stands right now, there's a lot of arguments about CWD, and there's a lot of arguments about coronavirus. And it doesn't seem like anybody has a real good hold on it right now on either one of them. But the advisors on CWD, especially in Iowa, ask you not to put minerals out because it does draw deer continuous to the same spot. So you do what you want to with your deer, or with the deer, public's deer, because they're not your deer, unless you got them behind a high fence, then they're considered livestock. But by all means, if you're going out in public, try to stay safe for the other people's sake around you. Well, that's it from the social distancing, non-typical nor walk in. So, like I said, you can social distance yourself from my channel at any time you want. But I got my thoughts on mineral licks and CWD, just like they have in New York City going on right now. You got too many people in too small places, and they're dying off like flies. So, think about that when you're doing that in the wild.